Well, we have Mr. Paul Biam, the Chief of Staff to Benue State Governor, here with us. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
Well, many are surprised to have seen and heard that. They're wondering, what is going on? These are lawmakers from the same party, the APC in Benue.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Well, let me quickly start by thanking you people for giving me an opportunity and also trying to make an in-depth inquiry as to whether something is actually wrong with our party and the government of Benue State. I made myself available, having also, as an observer, had the opportunity of listening to the press conference made up yesterday on the national television, precisely channeled by some members of the APC party who are representing us in the National Assembly. I will not be quick to say that there's actually a problem, but there are some misgivings concerning the leadership of His Excellency, the Governor of Benue State, His Excellency, Reverend Father Alia, PhD. I will also quickly identify with myself and assert that I know the persons who appeared on the television and made that communique read to the public. Let me give you a little background of my person to appreciate why I'm here and why it has become necessary. And I appear to make little clarifications on issues bordering on whether there's crisis or misunderstanding in whatever form. Before being appointed as Chief of Staff, His Excellency the Governor, I have served in Benue State as a party secretary, the APC. And so I have started with them from the beginning up to the point that they were elected into National Assembly. It therefore means that I've been part and parcel of this party, to the extent of understanding the party, processing their documents that made them to be a representative. Now, let it be on record that Governor Alia came into being as Governor of Benue State on the 29th of May. And I was also appointed as his Chief of Staff the following day. It also means that I must be conversant with the policies and actions of government from the beginning. And so what the entire thing I've read from what I heard yesterday and what you presented to me this morning in your studio is the fact that our governor, my governor, is dictatorial in nature. That is the fulcrum of what they presented to the public. Yeah. And I find it so appalling. Number one is what constitutes dictatorial ship. If a governor is elected by the people overwhelmingly, let it also be on record that from the inception of democratic governance, there has not been one person who has been governor of Benue State that has won with a margin that Father Alia won his election, which to a large extent establishes the extent of love and popularity on the person.
They faulted that though?
Yes, I'm coming. I'm trying to establish the level of acceptability of our governor, Governor Alia, leading to his election. But beyond this, I listened carefully to the press conference and I begin to put some questions before I begin to answer. They say it is a caucus of the National Assembly. They also told us that they were in a retreat. And I don't understand the retreat. Was the retreat a Benue retreat? Was it meant for Benue people? What was the target? Was the target to disparage the governor of Benue State? Because that was a communique that was read out as soon as they came out of the retreat. So I think ab initio, there was no retreat. There was assemblage of people who, by people's mandate, decided to disparage a governor that in 6 months has surpassed. And I want this with emphasis, because I have been a participant in Benue politics. Of all the previous 3 governors, I have been in one position or the other. And I'm saying this on authority, that this present governor that they allege in their press conference that has not achieved anything has been the governor that has surpassed all previous administration under the period being reviewed today. About
one of the points you made.
Yes.
They say that the governor joined the party when, of course, the party had the structure, had the strength, and then he now suddenly thinks that he's popular because of that. Now, no, it was because he came to the party which was already on the up, Yeah. If the thought he was that strong and go, why didn't he go to contest with ABGA or any other party?
That's why I gave you the background that I was secretary of the party. So I'm in a position to tell them how it happened. They were mere members. I was the engine room. By being a secretary, you initiate, you process, and let it out for implementation. And so I was in a position of receiving all applications of who wants to be governor, or who obtained a form and came to me for processing. And I should know when and how things were done that eventually got someone nominated and eventually became a governor. Above all, how many persons bought forms to become governor? Very serious, significant elder statesmen in Nigeria contested alongside with this reverend gentleman. Amongst them, Senator B.A. Gemade, among them, former AGF Ase Ondaka, very serious people came.
Okay.
But you need at every point in any contest, you need a platform to fly a ticket. And so, Alia is a progressive, that's number one. He has never participated actively in politics. He took his time, did his research, came in to study the Constitution and Manifesto of APC, and discovered that his ideas and thoughts are in line with this party, and also sought to join the party and also vie for position.
They also said in that conference that the governor is treating them with disdain, and that he's arrogant and egocentric, and that they have reached out several times to the SGF, who himself is a former governor and former lawmaker, and he has told them, the lawmakers, to take it easy, just relax. Maybe he'll have a change of mind in terms of how he's conducting himself and handling a relationship with them. Yeah. So if there's no truth in it, will the SGF ask them, let's see if it will change, as they claim?
Well, I wouldn't want to join issues with them, but I'll try to explain our position as a government. I do not know what constitutes egocentric. I do not know what constitutes arrogance. But to the best of my knowledge, His Excellency came in and made appointments in government with full participation and consultation of stakeholders, including the SGF. And I told you that I was appointed from day one, so I'm in a position to know what took place that led to appointments and nominations of persons to various positions. Number one, it's a government collectively made by the people. And so it is expected that decisions should be inclusive, which is what the governor is doing. I was appointed as chief of staff because it's his personal staff. Even at that, some persons were consulted. I was privy to it, and eventually I was met. But you cannot constitute a cabinet of over 19 commissioners and imagine that no consultations will be. Let it be said, and this is why I say I know, that in the consultations, including our men in Abuja, made inputs, and there are documentary facts. Of the 19 commissioners, we had 7 commissioners were nominated by very powerful persons in Abuja, written on red pen, signed by them. We have these verifiable facts. At appropriate time, if they push up to the wall, we flash it for national television to see the handwriting and the names of the persons that were consulted and the nominations that they made. Those persons so nominated have constituted part of the Executive Council of Benue State today. And so I do not know what they mean by no consultation. To further buttress this, they were speaking about the newly constituted Caretaker Council. I wish that one of them appeared here with me so that we argue this, and they were, for 6 months that we've stayed in government, consultations at the level of stakeholders meeting, all inclusive, have been held twice. At this fora, discussions as to appointment to various positions are made. The last one, which is the local government council, all of these persons that appeared were in attendance. There are evidence. And there are also not just, they were videoed. There are pictorial evidence. And the governor announced to them that he intends to constitute, they should go back to their local government and sit to their caucus and nominate 3 names. The nominations came to my office as chief of staff. If they push us further, we also show what came and their signatures attached to various lists that were sent. We have them. And so I do not understand, and that is why I say there was no retreat. It was just a conceived and conscious effort to malign the governor who has done so much in a period of 6 months.
Would you say then that perhaps the governor is mismanaging his politics? Because these are not the only group of people to have made a complaint. Yeah. Local government chairmen too, before now, had also laid their own complaint when the governor was going to constitute a caretaker committee. Yeah. And part of the complaints we hear here now are now were repeated or were earlier raised by this local government chairman, saying that he was unresponsive, he was not reachable, and he was erratic.
You know, people
these are some of the allegations that, you know, we hear over and over again.
You know, people will naturally wish to complain where they shouldn't have been complaints. The local government chairman came out. We took over power on the 29th of May this year. And on assumption of power, we needed to verify. You do what is called agency's briefing to the governor of a state. And so we discovered that these governors, these chairmen were elected and were in power and were serving. And so the Excellency called them to a meeting and requested that they should give us a brief. It will surprise you or interest you to know that a brief that were brought by chairmen of various councils by their hand were forwarded to House of Assembly, which led to a review of the briefs. And we discovered that there were financial breaches. And the House of Assembly, in their wisdom, recommended that they temporarily step aside and allow the state to do an investigation based on what then themselves brought to the state. And so when they stepped aside, the DGS, Director Generals of Administration, were asked to take over. They were expecting that after the conclusion of the investigation, they may be called back. Well, we discovered the rot was too much, and it's documented. And so it is naturally expected that somebody was occupying a position and enjoying, and that an action is taken that may be counterproductive and not valuable to the person. You expect that there should be some kind of reaction. Okay, they were only reacting from a situation that was properly done or conducted with procedures.
Perhaps we can take that of the local government chairman as, you know, them being people who are just complaining because they've been they were affected, and, you know. But what do we make of those members of the National Assembly? They are already. They're not directly affected by the governor in any way.
Yeah, they are to a large extent. They're directly affected because they are members of the party. They are members of the party in the state. We owe them as a government a duty to report to them and seek advice and solicit for support. Now, how they are affected is that most of them are surrounded by mediocres. And when you ask them, please go back and nominate, because this is serious government.
Most of the lawmakers?
They are surrounded by mediocres. I'm making this bold to say because I can name names. And when you are requested or invited by a governor of a state to shortlist 3 names, and you go in a serious government like ours and nominate mediocres to be considered for heading a whole tier of government, and the governor of state look into their profile and say, well, these people are not qualified by my estimation, and then they are not picked, and among the 3 names, maybe their preferred candidate is not picked, and we decide to go neutral on a neutral name that came from another person because they are not the sole originators of the 3 names. And then you feel offended because your candidate or preferred candidate was not picked. These gentlemen are only reacting on an exercise that was justly conducted and fairly done.
No, but if you say that you had consultations with them, and the consultation was to get their ideas and also get their input, you tell them go and bring 3 names, and then you bring them, they bring the 3 names, and you find none of these 3 names.
No, I said just a moment. Preferred candidate.
Okay, the preferred candidate. But you, according to what I also heard you say none of the 3 names were found suitable, so you get another name from another person who perhaps wasn't there. Doesn't it mean that initially or ab initio you had absolutely no intention of appointing anybody from whatever list they brought? No. What the governor wanted to do was always with him, and he just send them on a wild goose chase?
No, that conclusion may not be reasonable, because at the convention or the stakeholders meeting, the governor did announce to stakeholders that where names are brought and competent persons, you have criteria. You have a criteria in a caucus meeting.
What is the criteria? Were they clear criteria?
Bring us graduates. We want graduates who will mind the serious people who have had cognate experience. These were the criteria that were read out and spelled out at a general Congress in Makurdi. And now you fall back and then pick somebody on a street who is not educated, who is your follower by maybe period of campaigns, and you want the person to be made a chairman. For God's sake, that is a tier of government. And the governor did one. In a situation where we could not find this, we recourse to the Executive Council of those stakeholders who are with us in government are from that local government. So in various local government where we could not find, it's not all of them. For instance, in Gwe local government, where Achado comes from, the candidate, the person minding the local government, is his choice. And then they also allege that the person minding Dixon Taki's local government is of PDP. That is a callous lie. I don't think men of this high repute should come on a national television and begin to sing in a manner that is quite discordant, that is not in tune with the personality that is respected.
How about this one?
Yes.
They said the election of the Speaker of the Benue State House of Assembly.
Yeah.
The position was zoned to Jengba block of Benue Northwest Senatorial District, which is coincidentally the birthplace of the SGF.
I agree with that.
So APC had 22 members out of a total of 32.
Yeah.
Governor Alia, they say, connived with the former governor Gabriel Suswam of PDP to produce a speaker different from the candidates preferred by the APC. And so they went on to say, in that same contest for the position of the speaker, after the governor held midnight meetings at the residence of Senator Suswan, he got 10 PDP members to align with 7 recalcitrant, in their words, APC members to beat the APC's preferred candidate by 2 margin, just 2 votes.
Yeah.
And they say this was what he then began his unholy alliance with the PDP to determine and maltreat legitimate members of the APC.
It's so sad. It's so sad that this could be coming from this serious gentleman who was representing us. First, I have been a parliamentarian. I have served 8 years in the State Assembly and also headed a position of majority leader for 8 years. And so I wouldn't say they are completely ignorant. I think it's mischief to some extent. Because if you're in a parliament, you understand the rules and procedures that leads to the election of principal officers of either of the chambers. Every member of an elected house or any legislative house is eligible to contest for either of the position. To the extent that you are eligible, you can aspire. That notwithstanding, I agree to the extent that it was jammed to Jemba. This I can agree. I agree to the extent that it is not only the other person that failed in becoming the speaker that is from Jemba. We had 4 members from Jemba, which makes all the 4 where it was zoned to eligible to aspire to become the speaker. Now, I agree also that APC has that number in the legislature. But what is politics in itself? Politics, by my definition as a political scientist who has practiced over getting to 30 years, is defined to me as a conscious attempt to outwit another. If lobbying from Chamberlain and getting him to lobby for you to win 2 votes, what is bad? I want to be speaker. I feel that if I approach you, you can help me become a speaker. Is it not politics? Is it not bargain? Is it not lobby? And so they are in the assembly, they are in the National Assembly. They knew the processes leading to. There was a time in Nigeria history here where a preferred candidate of a party, to be precise, the Senate president, the government, before they got into the chambers, the president of the Senate was elected. This happened in Nigeria. So it's about outwitting one another. That would be my practical definition of competition.
Yes, it's about, all of those negotiations, horse trading and the likes. But
and eventually, the person who emerged as speaker and the current speaker of Benue State House Assembly is also from Jemba.
So should it be such that the members of the APC in the House will be surprised as to who emerged if there was negotiation and it was going to happen? Because they are saying that the governor had a hand in what happened.
It's a matter of voting. It's an election.
So the governor was involved in this?
No. It's not a matter of being involved. It's not.
What role did he play?
No, but nobody. If we have witnessed any set of parliament that declaration has been officially made and the commence proceedings, nobody stays in. It's in a closed session. members...
Yeah, but you know that it's not just closed session, literally.
No.
You know what happens behind the scene before they go to that session.
Okay, if what had happened before we got in, and if they allege that was the preferred candidate of the now SGF, then what happened that it didn't emerge? Because that would have been behind the scene negotiation, which meant that if there were any attempt at all, it means that they failed and it recourse into an open election.
Is it true?
And somebody won.
Is it true that the SGF also had a candidate, but the governor walked against that?
No, I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know that he had a candidate. Or he
was interested in a candidate.
All that I can confirm is that 2 persons from Jengba extraction aspired to become speaker, and 1 was eventually elected as a speaker. And so that is the extent to which...
Who is favorably disposed to the governor.
Who is also from Jengba. I want you to... Because the allegation is that it was done to that place. Did the governor in any negotiation, whatever negotiation, assumed to have taken place, did he take it out of Jengba? Is a person elected not qualified to be
So the government decided to play safe and say, okay, since it's Jengba, and therefore I'll go with this one. If people go with this, I go with this.
In politics, I'm not talking in reference to governor. Even in this office where you are sitting, amongst your staff, you could have preference for another.
So that's what happened here.
Which is tenable.
So that's what happened here.
No, not in Benue. I say I'm not talking in respect.
No, I'm talking with respect to the speaker.
Human situation. Human situation allows that you could naturally have interest in a person.
So the human situation, relates to the example that
No.
given right now.
It does. I'm talking this one as a person in a parliament. Chamberlain had told us here that once it is proclaimed, all doors are closed. Persons who are interested approach the clerk of the house who presides, and elections are called upon. Those interested are voted for. Those that have the highest number of votes becomes principal officers of the house.
I think of all the allegations, one of the ones that really disturbs me is the hatred, the allegation of hatred against the Idoma people, the Idoma-speaking people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's something that should trouble you.
Yeah,
people are accusing the governor of nepotism and also favoring, his family members, etc., in appointments to the detriment of an entire ethnic group. Some people will say that certainly speaks to the foundation of the state.
I find it difficult to respond to this allegation for these reasons. Assuming that a gentleman gave statistics, assuming that he said that this is what is happening and these are the number of persons being appointed in this ethnic group and these are the number of persons being appointed here, I would have been in a position to respond with figures. But I don't know that kind of a wide allegation, what he actually meant. Are the Idoma people not in the executive council? Are they not appointed to parastatals? Are they not serving? Just to convince us, the head of service of Benue State government is an Idoma man. The commissioner for finance and the commissioner for finance and the superintending commissioner of economy of Benue State is an Idoma man. The deputy governor of Benue State is an Idoma man. And so many other executive secretaries of parastatals and boards and commission. We have 19 members of the council. This is why I say I will find it difficult. Assuming he said that there's no member of the Idoma group that is not recorded. How many are there? And this is what he would have done to us, to both trace and tell the world that this is actually nepotism being orchestrated by my governor. But indeed, if a governor can find it quite expedient to concede the position of a commissioner of finance, who comes to the federation account, who knows what is in the post, who has the authority also to expressly give permission for payments to be made. If a governor can find a head of service who coordinates the entire civil service of the state, what more?
So what about when they say his immediate community of Kunav is cornering all the strategic positions in government?
And you see this here again, you are asking me. If they had brought out the positions, I wouldn't be substantiating the allegations made by them. But I will only tell you that I know that it is not true, because I know that the Kuna people where the governor comes from share some position as good as... I am not from Kuna people. The position of a chief of staff is a personal staff. It is one of the highest in government. if the governor did not find it convenient to give it to the Kuna people, what more is in government more than the position of a chief of staff? But I superintend over all of them. And so he gave to Ukum people who are on the far side of the divide across the river.
But they also categorically stated here, even though you said, look, these allegations are not true, but would they be lying saying the governor has not had any meeting with any member of the National Assembly elected on APC, and he doesn't pick their calls?
Yeah, Chamberlain, I told you when I came here, I made jokes informally. I've appeared here before. I'm a man of my words. I take responsibilities for the things I say. That in a spate of 6 months that we've been in government, all-round stakeholder meetings have been held twice. No government before this administration has attended that feat.
Is it general stakeholder meetings?
Yes, general.
Not the National Assembly members?
No. When you are doing a general stakeholders meeting, it includes all National Assembly members are invited. And in all times, a substantial number of them are in attendance. Those that do not attend sent in apologies. And announcements are made as to why they were unable to attend. And decisions are collectively taken. Now, let me tell you why somebody could blindly make this kind of assertion. The reasons are that because you are a politician, because you went in to seek for elections, and because you were fortunate to be elected, to some extent, you owe your constituents some kind of allegiance and a feedback system that requires some dividends. Now, most times when you come into a position like that, you are expecting, maybe to an extent, what is not available. These gentlemen have forgotten how the state was that we came in and met. When we met the state, it was nearly at zero level. And then when demands are being put on a government that is barely managing to consolidate and stabilize and begin activities to bring out this. So maybe because of the paucity of those things, you are not attending to them. And they recourse to blackmail. I attend this blackmail because blackmail to an extent that you imagine that you call your governor, he does not pick a National Assembly member. Is it tenable anywhere in a system? Okay. Is it possible? Is it because your demands are not met that you resort to blackmail and make us to
what demands
twist us?
What demands
make us? Yeah, demand in terms of give me this to do this to my people. Demand it could have been done.
Why is he not doing it?
No, it could have been done. I'm trying to explain the situation that we made the state in. Every situation to an average Benue person, including them, they know.
I mean, the demands
has been so deplorable.
Wait, are you suggesting that to repair? These members demanded something from the governor? He didn't give in to that demand.
Listen, I told you a scenario of a politician who is representing his people. You will certainly make demands on a system. And because the things are scarce and they are not available to the extent that we know, sometimes may become a problem and you resort into twisting and blackmail. This is what I'm saying. Has the governor called any meeting that is not general stakeholder meeting strictly for members of the National Assembly in APC alone? You see, the governor cannot just sit and begin to initiate meetings. The National Assembly, in court, as they came out yesterday, who called them to retreat? They have a caucus where they sit and discuss their issues of governance and national issues. If they have issues at the state that necessitated their meeting with the governor, don't forget that I'm the chief of staff. They'll write a letter to me or put a call to the governor who will instruct me to put a meeting together. The members
still have to write a letter?
Yeah, you're right. It's a caucus. You would seek a formal meeting. But if you do not want a formal meeting, you can also put a call across to the governor and seek to have audience with him, maybe on an individual basis.
So that hasn't happened yet?
As a group. It has happened twice to my knowledge as chief of staff.
Along with the members?
I coordinated meetings, not if they assemble themselves 7 out of maybe 14, and they call it a caucus, and we have 6 in the meeting in Makodi. I can as well admit that we met with the caucus twice.
Is the governor in good relationship with the SGF?
To the extent that I know, reasonably, yes. Why do I say to the extent that I know? There has not been any open confrontation between my governor, the governor of Benue State, and the SGF.
Matured, man. It cannot be open confrontation.
No, I'm coming. But I do know, as a matter of fact, emanating from this press conference, that certain big men in Abuja, certainly, and I make bold to say because I know, because I belong to the system. I may not know them, but I know, and I'm happy to. Let me stop to comment the journalists that covered the press conference. The questions that came from them were quite incisive and inexhaustible. I thank them so much for doing justice to that press conference when they asked, and I repeat here, because of hindsight, as to why consistently over past previous administration, there have been problems, the governors have been having problems with one man, the SGF. And the persons who appeared in the press conference to me were unable to answer. You have problems with Suswam, your immediate predecessor. You have problems with Autumn that led to his decamping to another party. And then you are currently having some misunderstanding with the current government. It was asked. And they could not give satisfactory answer. All that they could defend is that in all their press conferences, they did not mention this sponsorship. We're not saying these men are honorable people. They are voted in, they have income that they can organize and do a press conference. They mustn't necessarily be sponsored. But the truth is that what is the spirit behind this retreat? What retreat? A retreat to bring a communique to tell the world the dictatorial tendencies of a governor, how shrewd and egocentric he is.
You think he's sponsored?
No, but that is the communique that came out.
Are you suggesting they were sponsored?
What is a retreat? A retreat is a gathering to enable you to refresh review.
Mr. Biam, are you suggesting unseen hands in that press conference?
If you ask me, yes. Unseen hands, certainly. I said the Abuja people.
Abuja people.
Abuja
SGF
people.
is in Abuja.
Well, I would by inference. Abuja people. Abuja people. We have stakeholders of this party and very critical ones in Abuja. That to the extent that this kind of an attitude is being orchestrated and brought to the public, no one of them has come out publicly to condemn.
Let's go to
Does that not conclude that they are also part of it?
Let's go to Lagos.
Well, sir, it would seem like questions about the state of things between the SGF and the governor will not go away. If you say that things are okay between them, why would this set of lawmakers who are complaining about the attitude of the governor declare loyalty to the SGF?
This is why I didn't say that there's no problem. I said, but not as manifested as was shown some other yesterday or back. And I did also, by inference, agree that some Abuja politicians have hands in it. And when Chamberlain confronted me that the SGF is an Abuja politician, I did accept. And I said there are some big men here who subterraneously may be responsible for this. I didn't shy away from that fact. And I won't shy away because I know. I'm in a vintage position to know that some Abuja politician, and I gave an example, I also tried to buttress. If this kind of thing is going on, a retreat that was meant only to bring a communicate to tell the world the dictatorial tendencies of a governor who has done so much for his people, not minding the position of the common man on the street in Benue State, and there is no single remark coming from the Abuja politicians, won't you, in your own estimation, conclude that they are behind it?
These big men that you refer to,
anyone?
These big men that you refer to, is the SGF perhaps one of them?
No, it may not be one person. Of course, we have very big men from Benue who are residing in Abuja who are also holding position. I'm just mentioning SGF over time because it's holding the most visible one. And so I could say most of them are aware. And I'm saying this by inference because as stakeholders who are representing us in Abuja and in very serious, significant position, they ought to have made comments in response to what took place yesterday. It's a palpable shame by making conscious effort to undermine and malign a governor who has done so well for his people in 6 months. And I'm surprised and appalled when I listened to one of them say that no one single project has been done by this previous administration. And
just one question from me, if you can hear me. My apologies, Mr. Biam, if you can hear me. Just one question from me. It's one of the things that's also been said by at that conference is that the governor, recommended that they should send him names of administrators for local government for the local governments from among them. Is that correct?
Yes, in a stakeholders meeting, yes.
Okay. So is it right, constitutionally speaking, for a governor to appoint administrators as opposed to have elected officials of local governments, chairmen elected by the people, as opposed to appointing administrators?
It may not be constitutionally right, but we are all witness to political developments in our country. At a certain point in this country, a doctrine of necessity was introduced in trying to resolve situations. Am I correct? And so here again, we found ourselves in a situation where local government chairmen, through the instrumentality of the House of Assembly, whose responsibility is to oversee local governments and make laws on their behalf, were found wanting and recommended to his governor to allow them step aside for further investigation. In a continuous situation where the local government administration had no clear-cut leadership, the doctrine of necessity has to be applied in order to stabilize the system. It has been applied before. And so it is not as if we are saying that it's a constitutional right. No. But in a situation where there's a vacuum, we needed to quickly close it up using precedents of what has taken place in Nigeria before to enable us get to the next level.
You know that our lawyers will take you up on that, as it cannot be closed up in the way you say it. But it's a matter we will revisit.
Yes,
and
take
a look at how some of this is playing out. So, we want to thank you for coming on this morning.